I'm Carol Cohn, and welcome to Purpose 360, the podcast that unlocks the power of purpose to ignite business and social impact. Today, we're exploring a question that every purpose-driven leader wrestles with. How do you inspire people to take small actions that create meaningful change at scale? As America prepares to celebrate its 250th birthday, it's a fitting moment to reflect on the shared responsibility that we have for the places we call home. Few organizations have studied that challenge more deeply than Keep America Beautiful, the 70-year-old nonprofit. To comprehensively understand litter and its impact in our communities, cities, and towns, it started fielding a comprehensive national litter study in 1968 to track not only what Americans litter, but why, and what it takes to change behavior. Joining me is David Scott, Senior Vice President of Data and Research at Keep America Beautiful. Together, we unpack the findings from their newest national litter study, which reveals a remarkable and very exciting 34% decline in litter since 2020. But while that's encouraging news, unfortunately, there remains more than 32 billion pieces of litter that are scattered along America's roadways, waterways, our streets, in our cities, in our towns, all over our communities. In this conversation, we'll explore what's driving progress, where new challenges are emerging, from coastal litter to discarded tires and packaging waste, and why cleaner communities are linked to stronger local economies, safer neighborhoods, and greater civic pride. Whether you're leading purpose programs, engaging employees, or building community partnerships, you'll discover how data, behavior, and collective action can help create a cleaner, more beautiful America. So let's get started. So welcome to Purpose 360, David Scott. I am so thrilled to have you on the show. I've gotten to know you because we work with Keep America Beautiful for the last couple years. And you are the, dare I say, the guide, even the data god. So please introduce yourself. And I want to know, why do you do what you do? Why do you love what you do?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Carol. It has been such a joy working with you, and I'm so happy to be able to just have the chance to chat a little bit more about it with you here. As you said, I lead data and research at KAB, and what that means at the organizational level is, we're bringing national scale evidence to understand how to make our communities, cleaner and more beautiful places and thriving places for people to live and work and play in. So why do I do what I do specifically is what really fascinates me is human behavior. Why people do what they do, both good and bad, I have to say. And that's what led me to this work in, both at Keep America Beautiful and previously really trying to get to the heart of that, because at the end of the day, whether it's at the organizational level or at the individual level, making better decisions is where we get to better solutions. I love to hear people's stories. It's not just about the data. It's about how they live their daily lives, what's happening in their community. And we use data to understand what's working and where we need to make improvements.
Great. So today we're going to talk about the litter study. And I'd love you to go back because there is a baseline that Keep America Beautiful, I guess it was 1968. Which is, that was a very tumultuous year, by the way, that the organization conducted the first study. And you told me in our prep that you go back and you frequently look at it. So what did you learn from that as a baseline?
Yeah. So as you know, Keep America Beautiful was founded in 1953 as an organization and almost immediately started conducting research. And then, as you noted, in 1968 and 69, the organization completed what really became the benchmark for litter study research around the world. And in that original work, it looked at why people were littering, what it was that they were littering, and where they were littering. And we have expanded so far beyond that, but that really remains at the core of the work. Today, just like we did back in the late 60s, we are still looking to understand, just from a metrics level, like how much litter is there per mile along roadways. But now we do so much more. In fact, the one that we've just completed is our fourth major national comprehensive litter research study. And each time we've done it, we've added a new component to it.
Yeah, and congratulations, because the last one you did was 2020. And this one, litter overall is down 34%.
It is.
That's a huge jump, albeit there's a lot of litter left. We should talk about that. But how do you feel about the result of this study?
We are thrilled to see what we found with the study. And this is a very rigorous study that we conduct. We send professionals out into the field, into hundreds of sites around the country, 700 sites to be specific. And these are all engineers and scientists who are trained in the methodology of understanding what litter is. So we know, we went back to the exact same sites that we went to along roadways and waterways from 2020, so that we would have a true apples to apples comparison of the two studies from 2020 and this year. And like you said, we found a 34% reduction along roadways and waterways in litter. Now that, to put the number, that was about 50 billion in 2020, down to 32.6 billion here. So we are thrilled with the progress. We had no idea whether litter would be up or whether it would be down. So we were thrilled that it was down. But also 32 billion pieces of litter is still an unbelievable amount of litter. So it's definitely progress, but not, we have not won the fight by any stretch of the imagination.
Now, billions, that's really hard to even fathom. What's the pieces per person now?
Yeah. So in 2020, it was along roadways and waterways, it was 152 pieces of litter per person. And this year it's 96 pieces of litter per person. So like you said, but we want people to understand, it doesn't matter if you run a large corporation, if you're just a regular Joe in your community, everybody has a role to play here. And at 100 pieces per person, we all can make a difference here.
A piece every 3 days.
Right.
Gets it done.
And the other thing that's really important that I want to note, and I wouldn't be me if I didn't talk about the learning opportunity here, is it's easy. Litter's really easy to ignore until you've started picking it up. Once you see litter, you can't unsee it. So immediately you become an advocate for your community when you start doing this work. That's another empowering feeling, right? Is knowing that you are, you're doing the right things for your community. We don't all always do the right things for our community, right? Like we all get lazy, but this is a moment where you can really take control.
Absolutely. So let's talk about, you always talk about a new element of the research. And this year you added coastal areas. So can you talk about that and why coastal is different than waterways and rivers?
We wanted to add coastal areas because for a couple of different reasons. One, they are, we have become so aware in the past, 10 to 20 years about just how damaging waste is in our waterways and in the ocean. Everybody's heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And there's nothing more devastating than going into nature. And there's something about the coastline in particular that's particularly devastating. And so we went out there and we literally counted litter. Now, the coastline's really interesting for a couple of different reasons, and very different from waterways and roadways. First off, there's just far less coastal mileage than there is roadway and waterway mileage. So in that sense, it's less daunting. But on the other hand, there are very few solutions that are being deployed that are focused on the coastline, even though we're so focused on litter in the ocean along our coastline. So we wanted to estimate, or in our language, enumerate how much litter is on the coastline, because there's no estimate out there of how much litter there is. So this provides the first estimate of how much litter there is along the coastline. And I just wanted to note, what we're talking about here is along waterways and roadways. We're talking, less than 3,000 pieces of litter per mile along roadways, less than 2,000 pieces of litter per mile.
Is that good?
Yes. Well, when you compare it to along the coastline, we estimate that there are nearly 17,000 pieces of litter per mile along the coastline. And that's just an eye-opening number to know that there's multiples higher litter along coastline. The other thing that's really interesting, so we want to have that be a siren to everybody in America. But secondly, get people to understand that the coastline looks really different than probably what you imagine. Most of us, when we think about the coastline, we think of the beaches, right? That's how we engage with the oceans. Everybody wants a clean beach, but beaches only represent 10% of the coastline, less than 10% of the coastline. Nearly 3/4 of our coastline are what's called vegetated. So that's mangroves, salt marshes, things like that. And there's far more litter in those mangroves and salt marshes than you find along beaches. And the litter along beaches isn't representative of litter in America, where the litter in those mangroves looks a lot more like the litter that we're finding along roadways. So the problem that we need new solutions to address coastal litter, because the stuff that we're doing along roadways and waterways isn't working.
Okay. So things that are down: plastics down 24%, paper's down 45%, glass is down 34%, metal down 30%, organics 77%, smoking and tobacco products down 60%. But then there's some up. There's two areas that are really interesting, and I want you to talk not just about what is up, what are the numbers that are up, but what might that reflect in terms of our consumption and engagement in our lives.
The one dark spot was the category that we call tire and vehicle debris. That was up significantly. Tires alone, like an entire, the whole tire, not the shredded piece of tire, but a whole tire. Whole tires are up nearly 80% in littering in this study. That's tremendously problematic, because tires they're just terrible for our environment. They're breeding grounds for mosquitoes. They can leach pollutants into the water, and and they're incredibly costly to have to deal with after the fact. And why they're up? Driving is definitely up in the past 5 years, but that doesn't explain the increase altogether. The thing that gets really interesting as another example is cardboard. Cardboard is up 50% in the past 5 years. Now, that one is easier to tie to consumer behavior, because in the past 5 years, we have all become online shoppers.
You got it. Yeah.
And it is important to recognize that waste and litter is just unmanaged waste. That is literally the definition of litter, is that it's unmanaged waste.
Unmanaged waste.
And so when we consume something and we consume more of it, it is more likely to end up in the waste stream. And so not surprisingly, cardboard litter is up, because consumer consumption of cardboard is up also. The challenge, right, as we all know, well, I don't know that we all know this, cardboard is incredibly recyclable. It is one of the most valuable products in the recycling stream. So it is, when I see cardboard out there in the piles of litter, that's literally cash sitting on the ground.
Cash on the ground. We still have 35 billion pieces of litter out there. So, is there such a thing as a litter bug? I mean, I remember growing up, like in the PSAs, and it said, don't be a litter bug. Is there a type of person that just litters?
We all have a propensity to do either the right or the wrong thing. And we are all at risk of littering at some point in our lives. So the work that we need to do across the country, in our communities and across the country, is it's a lot easier to reduce the probability that anybody's going to litter than it is to say, aha, there is the litter bug.
Okay. So, what is the impact of cleaner places?
Oh my goodness, this is so exciting to talk about. We know that cleaner places. The good news about litter, or solving for litter and making our communities clean and more beautiful, is no matter what you are passionate about or what you care about, doing this better will address your interests and your values. So, if you're an environmentalist, keeping waste out of our natural environment means that we're keeping our waterways cleaner. The drinking water that we're drinking is cleaner. The air that we're breathing is cleaner. The animals who inhabit that space are safer. But not everybody, focuses on those things. So maybe you're a local business person who relies on tourism. Well, we know that clean and beautiful places, tourists want to go to clean and beautiful places. They improve property values. They improve traffic in commercial districts. We know studies have shown that cleaner places are safer places. Crime is reduced when spaces are clean and green, and the investment that we make to clean those spaces up is returned multiple fold in the reduced costs to the community. So it's cheaper to keep, your community a safe, clean place. So, whether it's safety or tourism or businesses or property values or the environment, keeping our communities clean and green and beautiful benefits everybody.
Oh, that's very well said. I love that. If you and Jenny are going to go up to Capitol Hill, and you're going to you're going to have a breakfast for government leaders that have to address community issues. What are the one or two key messages you'd want to share?
At Keep America Beautiful, we strongly believe that we have, a proven solution to litter to deploy, and we actually we have the evidence from it. To use one example, our cigarette litter and prevention and recycling program, where it's deployed, cigarette litter decreases by over 50% in that area. So, and what these proven solutions are built around are a few important things. You need folks to be educated about the issue, about why it matters and what they need to do to make the right decision. They need to be able to make the right decision. So there needs to be infrastructure there so that they can make the right decision. So littering is called a crime of inconvenience because people are,
right.
They do not want to walk a little bit further to do the right thing with their waste. You have to also not only have that infrastructure in place, you got to have the services to keep it clean and available to folks. So an overflowing waste basket or waste bin on the street is not helping keeping the community clean. You've got to empty it. So education, infrastructure, and servicing of that, tracking progress over time is really important. It is not the field of dreams. It is not build it and they will come. We need to continuously work on this. And that's where that, understanding that this is not any single person or group's responsibility. It's all of our responsibility. We have a shared responsibility to do this as individuals, as corporations, as governments, and communities. Yeah.
I'm curious about if you could. Okay, so you're in New York City and you've had a lovely Italian dinner, and you're walking down, a street, not in the middle of town, but where the buildings are lower and it's very residential. and someone litters,
Mhm.
what would you say to that person?
We actually ask people this sometimes when we're doing research.
Oh, okay.
I think everybody's answer to this is different. So for me, I like to think of myself as a polite person.
You are.
So
I know you
I
are.
would probably say something. Oh my goodness! I think I think you
Dropped
dropped that
that.
there by
Oh my
accident,
gosh.
and and just to diffuse the situation and treat them as if it was a total accident. And obviously, if it's not dangerous or disgusting, pick it up and hand it to them and say, "Oh, I'm sure you didn't mean to do that. There you go." That's how I would manage it.
I know that there's a trend now where young people are getting together and they're picking up trash together. And it's like it's a social thing to do. And I'm wondering, how do you feel about that? And what is it about being with a group of people? And again, it goes back to the satisfaction question that I asked. Is that hopeful for us for this situation?
We have so many examples of people doing that intentionally, like you just talked about, creating their own groups, which is wonderful to go out and take care of their community. A lot of our affiliates, we have over 700 affiliates, Keep America Beautiful affiliates around the country. They will hold events like this, not just a regular cleanup, but they'll do things like go do a cleanup in the neighborhood and then meet us, at this local watering hole afterwards, and the first drink is on us. And, to young people, that's a way to go out there, be with people, do something that's good for the neighborhood, and then also do something that they probably were going to be doing anyway, but just do something good. So it is incredibly encouraging. It's something that we need to do more of, encourage people to do more of. It's something that we are very focused on to Keep America Beautiful in the coming year. 1 to 5 years is really trying to get people back out there into their community.
And for those of you in companies, whether, this is such a great employee engagement event, but getting outside around the factory, the plant, the streets leading up, the parking lot, the parks, the schools near you, and for 2-3 hours getting together. And I know that Keep America Beautiful has these cleanup kits. They're really inexpensive. You can get them. You can share them with your teams. And then it's instant satisfaction. We unfortunately have to wind this down. This has been a lot of fun and interest because this is more than litter. It's a socioeconomic issue, and it's a people issue, and it's a pride issue and a satisfaction issue. So I always like to leave the last words to my guest. So David Scott, how would you like to leave it?
Oh, it's been thank you for the opportunity. It's been so fun to chat with you, Carol, and, share with others, what I get, legitimately fired up about. I would just encourage, the folks listening to the podcast to know that the work that we do at Keep America Beautiful, litter as one example. We also do lots of work around greening and planting and things like that. But focusing on litter, it is just a great way to engage everybody at every different level. The youngest of the young to the oldest of the old, the folks who want to do it by themselves versus the folks who are searching for community. And like you said, a great team building opportunity to go out and do something together. It is an easy on-ramp to so many of the challenges, to addressing so many of the challenges that we face in our communities and in our society. We, really want folks to, just take the first step. Whatever the first step is for you, you can sign up for an email. We'll send you stuff to help you get started. If you're ready to start cleaning up, we'll tell you how to do that. There is a place that we can meet you to help you reach your goals, whether you're a large corporation or just one individual in a community wanting to make a difference. So go to KAB.org, see what you find.
Thank you so much for the conversation. It has been wonderful. And please go to KAB.org and see what you can do to really feel great about your community, your neighborhood, and just doing beautiful things. And for Purpose 360, thank you, David Scott, for the conversation. It's been great.
Thank you.
This podcast was brought to you by some amazing people, and I'd love to thank them. Ann Hundertmark and Kristen Kenny at Carol Cohn on Purpose, Pete Wright and Andy Nelson, our crack production team at True Story FM, and you, our listener. Please rate and rank us, because we really want to be as high as possible as one of the top business podcasts available, so that we can continue exploring together the importance and the activation of authentic purpose. Thanks so much for listening.